The President's policies display his commitment to unchecked government spending.
It was the policies of the Bush years that got us here.
It essentially asks nothing of corporate jet owners. It asks nothing of oil and gas companies. It asks nothing from folks like me.
6 days, Mr. Speaker. 6 days until we exceed the debt limit, and we still haven't seen a plan from the White House.
Standing here tonight, Mr. President, can you assure the American people that they will get their Social Security checks on August 3rd? And if not, who's to blame?
Well, when it comes to all the checks, not just Social Security, veterans, people with disabilities, about 70 million checks are sent out each month. If we default, then we're going to have to make adjustments. And I'm already consulting with Secretary Geithner in terms of what the consequences would be.
That day, the United States Senate failed by...
Continued partisan brinkmanship in Washington has pushed the U.S. to within 4 days of being unable to borrow more money, which has caused concerns that Social Security checks may not be paid on time. This is Brian Clark, reporting for the Spirit of Jefferson. In 1941, the gross federal debt was equal to about 50.4% of the gross domestic product, or GDP, a measure of the total economic output of the United States in a single year. During World War II, the U.S. took on a massive amount of debt to feed the war effort. By 1946, just after the war's end, the debt was 121.7% of GDP. Throughout the next 7 administrations, the debt fell steadily. By 1981, at the end of the Carter administration, the debt had bottomed out at only 32.5%. The debt trajectory reversed and began to rise during the Reagan administration, as the Cold War reignited and defense spending increased dramatically. The increases continued through the first Bush administration and the beginning of the Clinton administration, peaking at 67.1% of GDP in 1996. The debt declined relative to GDP briefly from 1996 to 2001, driven by spending cuts and a booming economy. Since 2001, the debt has been rising steadily. The debt began accumulating much faster after the Great Recession hit. During this period, the debt limit was raised 77 times. As the U.S. approached the debt ceiling, many in the Republican Party began to speak about using the debt ceiling vote as a moment of leverage. Many soon declared that they would not raise the debt ceiling unless it was combined with large spending cuts. Many Democrats insisted that tax increases be part of a debt reduction package and were opposed to any cuts in entitlements like Social Security and Medicare. All bipartisan talks thus far have failed, increasing the likelihood that the U.S. may not be able to borrow money to pay its day-to-day expenses in the near future. The Spirit sat down with seniors at the Ranson Senior Center and asked them what a delayed Social Security check would mean to them.
Yeah, my name is Shirley Painter.
Okay. And how important is Social Security in your life?
Social Security in my life is very important because of the rent that I have to pay, groceries I got to buy, medical needs, and I also like not only speak for myself, but I like to speak for all of the senior citizens and the ones that's on Social Security. It means a lot to them, and they do have to depend on that for survival, for living. And I think it's very important that we all will continue to get our Social Security.
My name is Alice Culpetzer. There's a lot of us people who depend on that. That's our whole livelihood. Mm-hmm. And we can, so far we've been doing really well with it, but if they take it away or even take away some of it, it's going to be very hard.
I'm Frances DeStefano.
And I'm Florence Oakley.
Okay. Now, how important would you guys say Social Security is in your lives?
Very important. Very much important.
I'm on it, so it's very important.
And how much do you rely on it versus other kinds of income?
That's all we get.
I get 100% on that.
And between my husband, he gets Social Security, and I get veterans. benefits. I mean, if we don't get that, what do we got? What does that senior citizen do that we have in Jefferson County right now that takes their medication and cuts in 3 ways to make 3 months worth of medication instead of 30? Because they're on Social Security. So now you're going to take that away from them. What do they
What would
have?
it mean if the checks were delayed for some amount of time?
Okay, how are you going to pay your mortgage if you have a mortgage? How are you going to pay your rent? Is the electric company's going to say, that's okay, don't worry about your bill, put it off. How would you pay your water? How would you get your food? How would you get your medication?
I'm Regina Hendricks. I'm fairly new to this area, having moved here 2 years ago from the southern part of the state. That the debt ceiling has nothing to do with Social Security. If they had not taken the money out of the lockbox and spent it, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And I'm very angry that they were able to do that.
Okay, my name is Ardelia Taylor, better known as Daly. I don't know what these people are thinking about and not leaving the security for what it was worth for people that have worked all their lives for this country, giving, paying taxes and all of that stuff, and now it's, well, to me, I've just been saying several years, the way that this country treats the elderly is just when you get a certain age, just take them out and shoot us and be done with it, because they don't have any consideration for the elderly.
Hendricks said she had been following the debt ceiling debate closely and had a definite opinion she wished to express to legislators.
Yes, indeed I do. Get rid of those tax cuts and stop the wars. Stop the war, well, I guess we're in 3 of them now, and stop the tax cuts. And don't balance the budget on my back.
For more, pick up a copy of The Spirit of Jefferson, available on newsstands today.